short task of introducing the session today, but a very warm welcome to you wherever you're joining us from today. This is the second of our series of workshops this term, so really grateful for Calum Murray for joining us. I'll tell you at the very end when the next webinar is so that you can join us at the next session, but for now I'd just like to introduce Calum Murray. He is the director and co-creator of the iFixit app, or iFixit apps. We'll be really delighted to hear about this today, particularly so because this is a Scottish innovative tool, and it's always great to hear about things that have been developed and produced here in Scotland. So iFixit apps, I'm sure you'll tell us in great detail, Calum, as to what the tool is, but my understanding it's a tool which has or uses a restorative approach to support children, particularly those with additional support needs, with their self-regulation, communication, self-awareness and emotional understanding. So I shall just stop sharing my screen now and pass over to you, Calum, if you would just like to kind of say hello. Sure. And get the ball rolling.
Sure,
Thanks
great.
very much.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you to Call Scotland for having us back. We've been really excited about this. I will say I am also a co-director, not sole. I don't think I would have gotten away with that. And I've also just been, reminded that this is recorded and to not try and be too funny. But so I'll give a very brief gist of where the idea came from before I do the presentation. But Sue, who did the conference back in June, who's a ASN teacher, she was struggling. She was missing a tool to help her learners understand her and for her to understand her learners. And she came up with a great resource, but and as successful as it was, it wasn't enough to cater for all the children in many of the schools that she went to. And also, I would say from my point of view as well, seeing the amount of time that would go into creating these resources, I probably don't need to tell any of the teaching staff here about the evenings, the weekends, and the paper, the laminating, the Velcro, the ink. And as I'm a developer, I just thought that there's got to be a solution that is great for the learners and also takes a bit of a load off of the teachers' backs as well. And this is what we ended up developing. So I'm going to start the video and I'll share screen. Turn my camera off.
Hello. Yes, so I might have already said this, but we'd like to thank Call Scotland for inviting us back. We had the privilege to present our app at the ASL and Technology Conference back in June. Sue debuted iFixit Apps. She spoke about the current challenges in inclusive education, about how we comply with legislation, and code of practice. Today, yep, that's me in obvious work from home clothes. I'll show you the app in more detail and an exciting new feature, followed by some Q&A. So let's get started. iFixit Apps is a tool devised to support with inclusion. Our goal is to improve the lives of learners with additional support needs. How do we achieve that? Well, co-regulation and restoration are at the heart of iFixit Apps. It helps learners participate, engage, and ultimately thrive. It helps us establish connections that makes them feel safe, valued, and cared for. It helps with self-awareness, emotional understanding, and self-regulation. It helps us understand our learners and the triggers of the behaviours. Allows teachers to record and monitor the progress of their pupils. and it facilitates communication between families and teaching staff, promoting consistency both at school and home. iFixit apps is a powerful visual tool. As we know, visual supports are an effective evidence-based strategy. They increase comprehension by 95%, and learners can follow directions 3 times better than following just verbal instructions. I'm very excited today, as I'm also going to show you the new feature added to the app, the Certificates of Achievement, a tool that supports reinforced positive behaviour and helps us be proactive, nurturing co-regulation at any time. This is an example of what you will find at the end of the restorative conversation with your pupil. I'll explain this summary first, and then I'll take you through the process. The restorative process helps by providing a series of questions to be answered by the learner with the support of visuals in a way that is meaningful to them. As you can see, it is dated and associated with the learner's profile. We can now understand the trigger of the behaviour. Leah is telling us that something wasn't fair. She was playing a game and believes her friend was cheating. We can see she's aware of how her body was feeling, her own emotions, and her understanding of other people's emotions towards her actions. There is other important information that Leah has provided that has clearly had an impact on the way she's feeling and the way she reacted. We can see the identified strategies that can support this pupil in the future and how she was feeling in the end. Finally, we can see the teacher's notes with information that, as a collaborative approach, could be shared in IEPs, behaviour plans, risk assessments, and pupil passports. Okay, now it's time for a demonstration. So, this is the website, iFixit Apps, which is accessible through any browser, and it's supported on PC, laptops, and tablets. Mobile support is something we're looking to add in the future, though. You can sign up for free, and your account will have access to 3 free learner profiles. They are not part of a trial, they won't expire. If you require more than 3, you can then subscribe to as many as you need at the cost of £8 a year per learner. To start the process, simply go to Profiles. Now, I already have some profiles created as examples. You can see on each one there is an icon, a name, a profile history, and a star icon which takes you to the Certificates of Achievement. I'm currently using the app with 2 learners, so I'll create another profile by tapping on the plus sign. You will see there are some icons to choose from. At the moment, we just have these 4 profile options, but we're working on creating a more diverse set. Select the icon of your choice, enter the learner's name, make sure you have parental consent, and click Confirm. Click Fix It to start the restorative conversation and hand over control to the learner. So let's fix it. The first question is, what happened? In this example, Leah is telling us that something wasn't fair, that she was playing a game and her friend was cheating. Icons can be clicked or dragged into position. If an icon is clicked by mistake, just clicking on the icon again will put it back on the main board. Once we have answered this question, the right arrow will take us to the next one. How did it feel in my body? The aim with this interaction is to enhance body awareness, for pupils to learn about their interoceptive system, and for us to think about what we could provide to regulate their nervous system when they are dysregulated. In this case, Leah is aware of how she was feeling in her body. She felt shaky. By having a conversation about her experience, we might gain insight that can bring us closer to understanding Leah's inner experience. The next page refers to different emotions that can be experienced at the time of the incident. We need to make sure that we don't make assumptions. We need to step back and let the learner tell us for themselves. In this example, Leah gives away information about the trigger when she tells us she was upset and angry because she was losing the game. However, emotions can be very hard to recognize and the answer might be, I don't know, which highlights the need for help in building skills in this area. Visuals in What Did I Do to Show It will help pupils self-assess their own actions when they're feeling a particular emotion. In this example, Leah tells us that she yelled and hurt someone. Who did I hurt? Leah says she hurt a friend. How do I think I made others feel? In this case, Leah is aware that her friend was sad, but thinking about a range of emotions in others is a very difficult task that could lead to the answer I don't know, highlighting again the need for help in building skills in this area. What can I do to help make it better? We will support Leah with her decision of apologizing her own way. She wants to offer her friend a hug. How has my day been so far? Learners could now give us extremely important information about other things that are going on in their lives and we weren't aware of. It could be issues with peers, any fears, changes at home, problems we didn't know about. With this interaction, as well as finding out new information, we can also take advantage of this moment to continue to support co-regulation. In this case, Leah is letting us know that she's having a bad day because her mum is away and she misses her. What can I do if it happens again? This is a crucial part of the restorative process as it gives learners the opportunity to explore options to seek out what's needed for regulation and comfort during challenging moments, which also allows them to get involved in planning the next steps of their personalized learning. It's an important moment for us to look at those options and think of ways to adapt the environment to promote feelings of regulation and safety. Leah decides that next time she's upset or angry, she will try to walk away from people and go into a safe space. We can suggest something else that might help her when she's shaky, for example, a weighted blanket. Finally, the last part will let us know how our learner feels. I'm ready to say sorry, her own way. I'm ready to play with friends, and happy to have spoken. This is the end of the restorative conversation that will take us to the summary that we showed you before. As you can see again, there's a date and time of when this process took place. At this point, with the summary in front of us, we would encourage the learner to read the answers slowly, or we could do it for them, emphasizing the strategies that have been chosen. If any options need to be added or amended, just clicking on the question will bring up the specific board. The summary can be printed at any point, or it can be saved in PDF. It could be sent home in paper or electronically, so the learner can share the conversation and strategies with family members or vice versa. The family could have their own account and send the summary to the school to inform of any incidents that have happened at home and the strategies they are using. The teacher notes could be written now or later. I'll do it later to show you how you can do it from the pupil's history page. The learner clicks Fixed It, which gives a sense of achievement, and the information is stored in their profile, which can be accessed at any time. The final step would be helping the learner with their decision. In this case, Leah has chosen to give her friend a hug, and we will organize the resources that will be needed to support with regulation next time. All the answers are now saved and stored in the adult's user account, allowing us to monitor the progress and achievements made by the learner. If we click on History, it brings up a calendar which shows the date and time when the restorative process took place, and clicking on the date brings us back to that summary. We can edit the teacher's notes now. There's not a limit to the number of incidents that can be recorded. The history can also support in identifying patterns. For example, if I go into the history of Ryan's profile, we can see that every incident where the app has been used to engage in a restorative conversation has been recorded. We can see a pattern. The incidents are happening on Tuesdays and Thursdays between lunch and home time. Is it a subject that he doesn't like or causes him distress? Is there something different happening after school or at home in those days? This makes the iFixit app a very powerful resource in the pursuit of tracking behaviours and looking for patterns and triggers. Let's show you now the exciting new feature we added. At the start of the webinar, I highlighted the star icon. This is how we access our latest addition to the iFixit app, Certificates of Achievement. This new visual tool allows us to have a conversation with our pupils to reinforce positive behaviour or to simply nurture their nervous system at any time. As you can see, Ryan has earned a certificate, and he's now able to regulate using the strategies he's previously learned with the app. To give you another example, if we open Sophie's history, we can see the incidents that have happened and all the certificates she has earned. We're not only using the reinforcer for the strategies she is putting in place after learning with iFixit, but we are also highlighting other positive behaviour we are witnessing at any point. So let's imagine that the next time Leah is in the same difficult situation, she shows awareness and independence by using the strategies we talked about during the restorative conversations. This is a huge achievement. We have to make sure she knows we are very proud. To start this conversation with Leah, we click or tap on the star icon. Okay, let's tell Leah what we saw she did. Moving away from someone and going to the safe space. We tell her how she's made us feel. I feel proud. And we ask her how she feels. Happy. Clicking the arrow again will take us to the certificate that's dated and associated with the profile. We can write our notes. And click Save. We can print it or save it on PDF to email it to the family, and this way we share the good news. If we go to her history, we will see not only the incidents that have been recorded, but also her achievements. We can write some notes, and they will appear both in the summary and the certificate that can be printed for Leah and her family. We can edit notes or print at any time. As you can see now, Leah has achieved her first star. Next to the star is a number. This number will increase with each certificate of achievement awarded to motivate our learner. Why do we want to use the certificates? Because we want to make sure we praise our students when they show progress and determination. Because we want to help them understand in a meaningful way how well they're doing and how proud we are. Because we want to reinforce positive behaviour, and because we want to nurture co-regulation at any point. So what's next for iFixit apps? Well, we have lots of ideas for features we would like to add to the app. At the moment, we're working on an extended range of profile options for a more diverse selection for learners to choose from. And we plan to add additional languages to support learners who have English as a second language. And we want to add audio feedback to the user experience to support visually impaired learners and to support understanding for all. So at conclusion, improving communication and supporting education. iFixit Apps puts in place a foundational best practice. It helps establish mutual relationships built on trust. It helps our learners feel safe with us. And it helps us genuinely connect with them, showing them understanding, care, and support that they need. This is how iFixit Apps can set the right course for inclusion, and it can also help with the challenges of the attainment gap, since achieving better outcomes in health and well-being should contribute to improvements in literacy and numeracy. As I've mentioned at the start of the webinar, it's free to sign up and you'll have access to 3 free profiles. They do not expire and there is no limit to how many times you can use them. Unless you close your account, you'll never lose access to the history recorded. Additional profiles can be subscribed to for the price of £8 per profile per year. As an example, if you needed 5 profiles, you only need to subscribe to 2 because you will always have those 3 free profiles from when you signed up. It's easy to amend your subscription in your account settings, and you can visit the FAQ on our website for more information. Or if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Calum. That really was a tremendously clear presentation and information on rationale for iFixit apps, as well as a walkthrough of the profile. So I think there's time for questions if you're happy to take any questions, Calum. And either I'd invite people to pop that into the chat, or if you'd like to come on to the microphone, I'm sure that Calum will be more than happy to take your question there. So if anybody, as I say, has got any questions, my first one that was springing to mind has been answered with your last couple of sentences about audio feedback. I'm always thinking about how to make things clearer and understandable for those learners with maybe difficulties with understanding. So that sounds like that's something you're looking at, though.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Good. So, so lady there, or rather, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce the pronunciation, but person there from Dubai has said they love the app, so that's really great feedback.
Thank you very
much. For you. And quite a number. Now there's a hands up there. Let me just see. Is it Laukia? Would you like to come on to your microphone, Laukia, and ask your questions? Apologies if that's not the correct pronunciation of your name.
No worries. It's always difficult. It's Lukia.
Lukia.
Yes.
On you go.
Thank you. One quick question. How can this be possible? Rephrase. Is it possible on the same account for the school and the parents to have access to one account? Because, for example, if they want to share, and they can, either the school, either the parent can go and put on incidents that happens either at home or at school. Do they just share the codes?
So, sorry. If you've any more to say?
No, I actually think I phrased it right.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So no, there's a couple of reasons you would want the family to have their own account. The main one probably would be because of the GDPR and data protection. I don't think you'd be wanting to share things like email and, well, email, fine, but passwords. The second one could be that the tracking of incidents could maybe get a bit more complicated. Things happening at home might get intertwined too much with things happening in school. So at the moment it's and we do, because we do limit businesses, faculties and institutions to one account. But as well as that, I mean, families I probably for the most part would be able to access it for free as well anyway, since the first free profiles are free. But there is the option, of course, though, to share the data with the summaries and the achievements, because you can save them instead of printing on paper. I mean, if you wanted to share them on paper, but you can also save them as PDF and send them electronically that way.
So your advice is better to have different accounts, families and school?
Yes.
And not to mix them up. Okay, thank you very much for this. Thank you.
Thanks, Calum. Yes, I suppose my thinking is if you're a teacher in a school, you're likely to have 2 or 3 or 4 profiles within your own account.
Yes.
So you wouldn't want to be sharing that, with a parent, because it would
And
not just be their child, it would be other children that would be within that account.
yes, and this is something, I mean, we did consider this a lot. And I guess it depends on the size of the school, the class, how many would be needed. It could probably get quite messy for the teacher having to track different accounts. And of course, one of the obviously the priority of this app is to help the learners, but at the same time, I think it's equally important that we streamline tracking and recording for teachers as well, and to make that as easy as possible.
Yeah, that all makes sense entirely. But a very good question. Thanks for asking that, Lucia.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if there's any other questions from anybody. Feel free to jump in. Here's one. Can you see that question there, Calum? Are there some prerequisites that a learner should have before starting to use the app?
I don't think so. Funnily enough, Sue, who my partner, who's also an ASN teacher, she was speaking to I think it was an EYP, who said that something like this, although in this example I'm giving, these icons and the text is probably too advanced and complicated, but even in terms of in nursery, where it's just almost constant conflict resolution, so I think just for anyone that it benefits, to be honest.
Because it is a combination of obviously the visuals, as you say, as well as the text, and teachers, early years practitioners can read out the text. If there's the audio feedback in the future, that should help to make it even more inclusive. So,
well, there's not just the audio feedback we're working on as well, and I want to be careful I don't make it sound like the app isn't finished. It's basically, it's just kind of like any other piece of software. It's just going to constantly evolve. I guess if you go back 5 years, whatever version of BoardMaker you were using, or Photoshop or whatever, might be very different from the one now. But we understand that there's going to be a point where teachers might want to customize things a bit more if some of the icons aren't maybe as applicable to their situations. In which case, oh, by the way, if anybody ever wanted to reach out and say, we really wish you had this icon, this visual, and then please let us know. But we would like eventually to be able to give the teacher the ability to say which icons appear on which page, so that they can create, really truly bespoke sets for each learner.
Great. Yeah, no, it really does look a great product, as it is, and it's like anything with development. I'm sure there are other things to be thought about and added. So, I think unless there's any other burning questions, I think we may just wrap things up for today, Calum. Is there any final thing for you to share in terms of, you did invite people to contact you, I think, didn't you, at the start there, if there was anything in particular? Yes. And is that best just done through your website?
Yes, so there's the website, I think we're on Twitter and Facebook, but on the website there is a contact us, and that gets redirected to, we're a very small team. When I say it gets redirected to all of us, there's 3 of us. So please just
quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're active on social media too, and my colleague Claire's just shared the website address, so the ifixitapps.com. So that's great. Thanks for doing that, Claire. Again, Calum, thanks very much for coming on. Such a clear presentation for us today, and it certainly sounds like those that are on the webinar really are very impressed with it. So it would be really interesting to try it out for myself too, and see how we get on. So thanks again.
That'd be great.
And
Thank you.
yeah, thanks, Calum. Thanks everybody also for joining us today. I just want to let you know that the next webinar, we don't have one next week, but in 2 weeks' time, on the Wednesday, the 21st of September, one of my other colleagues, Shirley Lawson, she will be leading a webinar, and it's all about enhanced transition planning for dyslexic pupils. So I'm sure there'll be lots of teachers and other education staff that are likely to be interested in that too. So so please join us for the webinar, the live webinar, 2 weeks. This webinar today will be archived on our website, and there are many other webinars archived on the website too, going back a few years. So please dip in and have a look at that too. Other than that, thanks very much, Calum, and hope to see you soon. Maybe our next ASL Technology Conference 23. You never know.
That would be our pleasure. I'm sure we'll have some other things to show then as well.
Great. Okay. Thanks very much, everybody, and have a very good evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.